Hey guys, what's up? This is Jacob, first year medical student. I am making this channel because I spent a long time going from first year college to first year medical school. I had 7 full years. So that's 4 years of college and 3 gap years. A lot of people are coming into college. They already know their pre-med and they're like, I'm going to be out in 4 years. And that definitely is doable. A lot of friends that did it. I took the slow way, long way around. I've learned a lot and I just like to share what I've learned on my journey, the mistakes I've made with you all. So hopefully you don't make the same ones. Today, I just want to talk about my overall journey from beginning to end. So I grew up in a family. My dad was a veterinarian. Parents were not physicians of human medicine, but my dad was a dog doctor, as he says, and he took care of all kinds of animals, large, small. Everyone wanted to know if I was going to be a vet like your dad when you grow up. I always said no. Didn't really know why, but in middle school, I always knew I liked science. And then in middle school, I had a teacher, a really inspirational guy, and he really made me decide I really love science. I want to help people. And from there into high school, I was thinking health profession, something. I really thoroughly looked into pharmacy, PA, perfusion, pretty much everything I've looked at. And I just kept coming around back to medicine. Even after college, I wasn't 100%. So I started working as a research coordinator at a large research institution, academic hospital, and learned a lot about lung cancer, talked to a lot of patients, got to see care in pulmonary, but also in the surgical setting as well. So I had all these healthcare exposures also in college, and I think you want to give yourself, if you're thinking about medicine, you want to give yourself as many reasons to not just convince someone in medical school that they should let you in. You want to give yourself as many reasons that this is actually something you want to do and not worrying about, am I going to get in, but worry about making yourself as ready as possible, because you're going to have your whole life ahead of you, your whole career. Med school's long, residency's long, everything is long. Taking 1, 2, even 3 years like I did, which is a lot, and I wouldn't recommend everyone, but it was perfect for me. I think probably one of the best things you can do to prepare yourself for the next step, as well as to prevent burnout. I got friends that went straight through. They finished college, went straight into medical school, and they started burned out because they had pushed so hard. They took no time in between in that transition, and they worked so hard to get in med school, and then they started med school burnt out from college. And I knew that would happen to me, so I planned to not, years in advance, to not do that. Some other reasons you might want to do a gap year are, besides, I'm not sure. If you're not sure, you absolutely should take a gap year and work in a hospital. Other reasons you might should take a gap year are your GPA. So if your undergraduate GPA is not super competitive, and you can look up the averages for different schools, you should strongly consider, if your GPA is like a standard deviation below or more below the average or minimum of incoming students at that school you want to go to, you should probably think twice before spending a ton of money on applications. If you're below a 3.0, you shouldn't be spending $1,000 on applications, probably, especially if you have an opportunity to bring that up. So sometimes only so much you can do because you have so many credits under your belt. But for me, in my case, I had a pretty decent GPA. It was not super impressive, but the sciences were pulling it down. A bad year, sophomore year for me. Some people have a bad freshman year, but it just really, you can have one bad semester and that can pull down your GPA. And you can think to yourself, oh no, my dreams are over. That's just not true. You just might take you longer. So whether that be retaking the classes you got a C or below in, or especially, well, if you got 1 or 2 C's, but if you got D, it's not going to be high enough. So you have to make sure you meet the minimums or the prereqs for these schools. And those are on their websites. But if you finish and you have mediocre and you're worried that they're going to view your performance in your science classes as like to letting you in. You don't want to make them nervous. So there's things, special master's program. I did a special master's program in part to raise my GPA. And although it counts as a separate GPA, so it's not looked at the same as undergrad. If you can do as well as you can in undergrad, you absolutely should. If you've already had a rough time and you have a lower GPA, you can't go back in time, but you can demonstrate improvement. The risk with the master's programs, if you enter it, and with these master's programs, some of them have ties to a med school. If you enter it and then you do bad in that, it's really not good. So if you're going to do it, you need to do well. So I entered that, finished college like a 3.5, did a master's program, got a 4.0. A lot of the adcoms at the schools I got invited to interview at, they liked it. So if you have a mediocre GPA, you can redeem it. It's retaking prereqs because you need to meet the minimums, or doing kind of DIY post-bac. Say you did really bad in a bunch of prereqs, you should probably retake them all because you're going to need that on the MCAT. If you're like, you did but your overall GPA is just not competitive and you can't like bring it up with taking more college classes, special master's programs probably going to be your best bet. They're not the same as college, so don't think I'm going to do this thing and it's going to prepare me for med school, like the exact flow, because I can prepare you, but some of them you take like med school courses. So some of them are more flexible with, you have like classes so you can work at the same time. My schedule is I work in the master's program. I was a TA, so I did all three. I worked in the hospital 3 days a week, 2 days a week. I taught students, and then I took the master's class. So taking your works to get as much bang for your buck as possible. It's your best bet. You want to see like what are the weakest parts of my application, or would be on my application if you haven't applied yet. What are my weakest points, and kind of do a pre-mortem and work on those things first. If you've already taken the MCAT and you did badly, if you get it over a 500, just apply. If everything else is okay, I would say apply anyway. Some people will say that's way too low, but programs, there's plenty of them. If you apply widely, that's not going to throw you out of the ring by any means, depending on your other stuff. Other reasons to take a gap year would be I can burn out before. So if you come out of college and you slaved away for the MCAT or the DAT or whatever pre-health professional exam, and you are dead because you sacrificed your health because you didn't know how to manage that while you were studying for school and studying for a standardized test, you don't want to start med school on the wrong foot. They hit the ground running. It's the lowest like time in any activity between like when you start and when you're expected to be on top of everything. When you start a new job, there's a training period. Med schools, they wean you into it, but starting off easy in med school, this semester is the easiest it'll be. The first 2 years will be, and it's not easy. So they're throwing a ton at you, and you don't want to start it from a point of exhaustion. So taking 1, 2, 3 years until you're like, you know what, I'm sick of being at this stage, like I'm ready, I'm dying to go back to school. You're going to be a lot more better off than the people that they were gunners that are all over Reddit and want to go from point to point B as fast as they can using any around them. And that's the definition of parkour. They want to parkour their way to being a doctor. This is a sustainable marathon. You have to take it one day at a time, take it 1 year at a time. If it's your dream, you'll make it happen. So don't count yourself out. That's what I would have told myself. If I could go back 5 years, I would tell myself to not freak out and just keep going, because you're going to be able to address the spots in your application that you think discount you. There are things that discount you that are hard to come back from. An example that would be like a criminal record. Obviously, if you were like for cheating, if you had got worse and worse the farther you went into college, or then you did a master's program and did terrible. You just give them give them no reason to like confidence in you, but failure, that's actually only going to make you a better prepared student. So it's best, of course, if you don't, but if you do, it's not over. So I hope this helped. And somebody that is who I was like years ago, if you watch this and you just failed organic chemistry, you got your MCAT score back and it sucked. This is more than just motivation. This is practical advice, but get out a sheet of paper, write down the one worst part of your application you think, or your profile, and write down 3 ways you can address that. Pick one of them and take action. That's all for today. Peace.